When the first fight was announced, I think, like most of the world, I probably favored Deontay Wilder, but I did always keep in mind about the fact that Fury had beaten Vladimir Klitschko, and going into that fight had really not shown a lot, and then suddenly pulled out that great performance against Vladimir Klitschko. So while I edged towards Wilder, I did keep in mind, and I told some people to keep in mind as well, that remember that going into the Klitschko fight, Fury really hadn't convinced us, and he did so great. So going into this fight as well, he hasn't really been convincing, but he has the ability to kind of pull it out and rise to the occasion, and sure enough, he did that. I remember after about round 5, Floyd Mayweather was sitting inside the corral, and he kind of tapped me on the shoulder, so I had to take my headset off to kind of talk to him because I was on live TV, and he tells me, I can't believe what's happening. He's like, Fury's winning the fight easily. And I kind of nodded to him, like I said, all right, yeah, you're right. I see it the same way. So at that point, I saw that outside of our broadcast team, people were seeing it that way, and I wasn't crazy, you know? And so it got to the point where, yes, Wilder got himself into the fight a little bit with a couple knockdowns, but it got to the point where you kind of started realizing the only crazy ones were the ones that didn't have Fury winning the fight.
And what is happening, everybody? It's your boy Blake Money Blakeweather. Welcome to another episode Loaded Joe's MMA podcast. I'm your host, Blake Money Blakeweather. How is everybody doing? This is the week right before one of the biggest fights ever of our lifetime, epic heavyweight clash. But before I get to that, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, UFC Gym Austin, 512-292-1900. Hit them up if you are here in Austin, or if you're here coming to visit the Austin area. And if you're coming to visit, hit me up. So that way we can come work out together. Even if you live here, hit them up. 5 free classes. Also running discounts and promos all month long. Check them out. They also are now home of Viking Ninja, formerly at the On It Training Academy. Steel maces, kettlebells, all those beautiful things. They keep your body in functional, conditional shape. That's one of the newest classes. Okay. New year, who it is? It's Viking Ninja at UFC Gym. Go hit them up, 512-292-1900. Tell them Money Blake sent you from Loaded Joe's. Guys, big fucking show to tell you about. I couldn't wait to say fucking, by the way. I have one of my favorite guests of all time. I'm not just saying that because he lived here for a year and we were best pals, good old buddy old pals. We used to hang out like at least 18 times a weekend. But it is my favorite and your favorite from my MMA news, the writer, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Ryan Sprage. Ryan, how you doing, baby?
You are too kind. You are too kind. No, you and I have had, oh my God, just endless nights of staying up and watching classic boxing matches and having arguments and discussions based on MMA and watching you almost try and murder me when your boy Connor went down, and that was a whole separate thing. But man, we talk combat sports unlike really anybody else because we'll throw in F-bombs and we're not afraid to get rowdy on our opinions.
A little rowdy Ronda now and then, huh? Nice little pun.
Rowdy Ryan, yeah, exactly.
But for reals, man, I'm happy you came on. I put out the bad signal, and as always, you're happy to answer. We are talking about. I mean, I said it before, but I think it's definitely one of the biggest clashes that boxing, not just heavyweight boxing, but boxing has needed to kind of keep eyes on the sport, keep fresh eyes on the sport, get people talking. It's not a dying sport. It's just a sport that kind of needs fights like this every now and then, needs superstars like these two that are fighting. Deontay, the Bronze Bomber Wilder versus Tyson, the Gypsy King Fury. The first fight was unbelievable. I can't remember if I broke it down, but I'm pretty sure I did. I was picking Fury for that fight. I am going to reserve my pick, but I think we're gonna take the long road to say who I'm going to be going for in this fight. You already know who I'm going for, but Ryan, this fight right here, let's talk about the excitement. Let's talk about the adventure. Let's talk about all the buildup. Let's talk about all the unanswered questions when there's really not any unanswered questions that we aren't already going to answer with another question, I think. So, Ryan, this fight's happening, bro. What's happening? What are you thinking?
Well, let's talk about the implications first, right? You know, we understand that in major boxing, you have 4 definitive weight belts. But then you also have the ring or the lineal championship, right?
Right. Okay.
So one holds a kind of word of mouth, like a pride concept.
One holds an historic precedence, man. Like that lineal one. Like that's not an actual like belt, but like it like if you understand the history, like as much as shit as Deontay talks against it and was saying, like there is a sort of like aura about you that, oh, you're the man who is the man, right? Like, fuck, you might not have a belt, but it's like one of those, you're the king of the streets until further notice.
Right. And then, of course, we also understand that Tyson Fury holds one of the 4 belts that exist. Or I'm sorry, not Tyson Fury. Deontay Wilder holds the long-reigning WBC heavyweight title. Mm-hmm. And it's important to say that because as far back as we remember, the WBC tends to be the belt, right? You have the IBF, you have the WBO, you have the WBA, but the WBC also has that stigma of being the belt. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, man. Like that's like you're the man, right? Like there's been a lot of other belts that have been added, but like that's the belt where it's like that's you the man. You really the man. Like there's 3 other belts. You want to be like the undisputed champion at your weight class, which is by having WBA, WBO, WBC, and IBF. But if you got one of them and you got like, I think what's probably, and I'm going to go on a limb and say it's probably the most prestigious one you could have out of the 4, like that ain't bad. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You're doing pretty damn good.
So we look at this and we also look at, this is a highly contested rematch. We saw what Deontay Wilder did in that final round against Tyson Fury. We all thought, fuck, Tyson Fury might be dead.
So let me let me rewind now that you bring that up. This was crazy. This was a very long time ago. This was December 1st. And this was in my dating heyday. Like this was like when I was fresh on the dating scene, and I'm talking about that because I do run a dating podcast, Unfiltered Bachelor. There's a quick shameless plug for myself.
Which, by the way, if I might also shamelessly plug on that episode you did with Lou Giordano was fucking epic. I mean, we know Lou Giordano. We know the likes of the people he's worked with.
Right.
And you and I are fortunate enough to know Lou on a very personal level, and he has worked with both of us so graciously and been able to take us places that we probably would have never been able to get on our own. So for you to break down that kind of border, right? Because this man has to be in pristine form and go, just time and time and time again.
Right.
Let's not talk about the fighters that he's worked with just in the past 2 training camps,
right?
Which, holy shit. But let's just talk about how long he's been doing this. And for him to be able to go on there and, I mean, he is human, right? He's our boy. He's our friend. But for someone like that to show that sort of a humanistic response to something like that, I mean, man, that really just goes to another level.
Thank you, man. Yeah, that was a beautiful episode, and I'm just I'm beyond blessed that he was just willing to open up like that, and I'm beyond happy that the reception for that episode, it kind of crossed the boundaries of like my MMA, his MMA, but then also what I do now, which is a dating podcast and relationship podcast. And it kind of, it crossed that next boundary of like him being human, and we got to see him behind the scenes. And guys, if I don't want to get too deep into it, go check out the episode Lou Giordano. It's a few episodes back. It's just a phenomenal fucking episode, and big shouts to Lou for coming on and just dropping that a few weeks ago. But I say all that because Unfiltered Bachelor, this is when I was just starting it, and when I was a bachelor in his early bringings, and I went on a second date with the girl. It was actually, I went over to her place, and I was talking to her, she was like, oh, we'd had a date the night before, and she was like, well, what are you doing tomorrow? And I was like, I'm watching a fight. Like, I'm probably not going to want to hang out with a girl because like they don't want to watch fights. And she was like, no, you should have the fight. You can come watch maybe we can come, like, go find a place to watch a fight. And I was like, okay, cool. So we kind of like talked a little bit, and then it ended up just being like, well, I was like, I was probably just going to watch it at home on my, my laptop or whatever. And she was like, just come watch it at my place. I'll order pizza. Fan-fucking-tastic. This was great. I really like this girl, and this was going swimmingly well. And we got pizza from one of my favorite places. Shout out to Brooklyn Pies. And we watched the fight.
Brooklyn Pies is good.
Brooklyn Pies is badass. Yeah, you happen to have it here. It's as close as I think. There was a New York guy. Short caveat with that. There was a New York guy a few weeks ago when I went there, and he was like, "Dude, like, I'm from New York. This is about as close as I've gotten in Austin to New York. So I got to say, this is pretty up. Like, I give this my thumbs up." And I'm like, fuck yeah. At least I know some good pizza. So that's a side note to that caveat of this story right here, which is a side note to, this fight. But this is who I watched the fight with. And, watching the fight, she was going for Fury because I was going for Fury, which is fan-fucking-tastic. But she was clapping, and I was just kind of nervously watching because I knew at any moment Deontay could knock down Fury. So he knocks him down the first time in the 9th round, and I'm like, okay, I think we're still up, though. Fury's still up. It gets into the 12th round, and that I was nervously waiting for it, and that knockdown from fucking hell came, bro.
Yeah.
And I thought he died. Like, I thought the poor man fucking died. And she was just like, what the fuck? And I was just like, oh my God. Oh my God. I'm sitting there like shaking, like, oh, like a little fucking crackhead. Oh my God. Oh my God. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? On the 4, 5, on 6, the motherfucker gets up! The motherfucker gets up! Ah! Oh my God, dude. I was like fucking like, oh, like, and then not only does it get up, but he wins the remaining 2 minutes. It doesn't mean shit because he didn't win the round and the fight was a draw, but shit, the motherfucker came back and won the next 2 minutes of the fucking fight,
man. He came back from the dead.
With a vengeance. He came back like Ghost Rider with a vengeance. Come on, man. That's saying something. That is saying something, man. And so that takes us all back to you talking about this 12th round of the fight that was like, what in the fuck? What in the fuck? That was really the what the fuck moment for everyone. That's when everybody paid attention.
Yeah, because again, we know how boxing scoring happens, right? You knock a guy out and you knock him out as viciously as Deontay Wilder did. That's a 10-8 round.
Yeah, homie.
But how did they score that one? Was it 10-9 or was it 10-8 across the board?
No, that round was a 10-8. Yeah. But the scoring for that fucking fight, let me tell you, because I rewatched it the other day. I believe it was, they had it 117 to 111 Deontay Wilder. 115, 113 Fury, and then I think it was 113 or 114. I think it might have been 114, a draw. And it was like, what in the actual fuck? Who the fuck gave Deontay Wilder that many rounds? God damn it. Like, you make it close. Make it, 115, 113. Make it something close. But no, you gave him a whole bunch of rounds. Anyways, I digress. I'm getting too far ahead of where we're at right now. But yes, that 12th round is the punch heard round the world, bro.
It really was. And for several different reasons. It's been a very long time, specifically in WBC heavyweight format, but in heavyweight format in general, to see a vicious knockdown like that where someone gets back up. We go back and you and I could talk the heyday of Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis, and we could talk the heyday of Evander Holyfield, even Ali, and we don't see that punch, right? So good news for us. I see you flexing there. Good news for us is we get to see the expansion of the sport, right? Mm-hmm. This has no longer become I'm better than you, I'm bigger than you, because Tyson Fury has that reach. He has that height against Deontay Wilder. It's no longer the fact that the more hyped fighter is going to win. This is literally the first brawl in the heavyweight division that we've seen in quite a few years. Mm-hmm. And you could probably take us back to the last time that we saw that just all-out fucking war that has happened for the heavyweight championship.
Well, I don't know how much of a war. This was very I mean, this is for me. This was a very technical fight, minus the 2 knockdowns that Wilder had. But what it was you had somebody just outboxing somebody for a fight, and you knew, boxing fans knew at any, and I think people across the world that week, they got hyped for the whole outside the ring antics, right? To this day, you remember that shit? To this day, they got hyped for the Wilder antics. They got hyped for the Fury antics. They made this fight exciting the week before the fight, just like they did today. Just like they did today with that whole shoving shit. They're making it exciting. What it was at any point in time, you knew you could see another man go down, and you're seeing, and on the other side, like it's like a man walking a tightrope, and you know any moment he can fall, and you're kind of there to see him fall, right?
Yeah.
Or he's walking across like the shark-infested waters from one boat to another, and they got sharks on both sides, right? And you know at any moment, if he slips, that motherfucker gets bit. And what's going to happen if he gets bit? Is he going to get Is he going to get taken under and drowned, or can he shake that off and make it across to the other side? And we saw Tyson Fury shake it off and make it across the other side. Now, our question in going into this next fight, before I want to take a quick break because I feel like this is a great buildup, and I want to add in a little clip from like Teddy Atlas talking about the fight. But that's what it was, man. It was the excitement of seeing how perfect can somebody be against somebody who kills people. Let's be honest. He destroys a destroyer of worlds versus this person who is just like, holy fuck. Like, how good of a boxer is he? Right? Is he really that good? I know he beat Klitschko. I know he's had 2 fights. I know he had this whole being off for 2 years, weight loss battle, depression, drugs, all this shit we heard about on the Rogan podcast. How good is he though, compared to this? And we witnessed that. So on that note, I want to take a quick pause, insert some Teddy Atlas into here real quick, and we'll be right back.
Teddy, who was more impressive? Would you say Wilder or Fury in last weekend's fight?
Fury. I think to a certain extent, if we're going to be honest here, right, and we're supposed to be, Wilder was exposed. You know, he's a guy that he can punch like heck. You know, I always say on ESPN that punches are born, they're not made. He was born to punch. He's got the power in the right hand. There's no 2 ways. He's long, he's big, and he's got heart. But as far as technique, pretty bad. You know, it's the kind of fight where the referee, if you're the referee, you might want to take insurance out before the fight because you might get hit. I mean, he's going from left field, from right field. He's falling off balance. His right foot's going in front of his left foot. I mean, his technique, there's no way to say it. I know a lot of people won't say it because they want to be friends with everybody. I get it. But if you're going to put me in that position and talk about expertise on something I'm supposed to be talking about, well, then let's call it the way it is. He got exposed in a lot of areas, except for one, that he's got that great eraser. And that great eraser can show itself at any time. Well, and it did.
And we are back, and I don't think you noticed the difference. So that was the buildup. I mean, that was the clamor, the talk, the discussion of the first fight, right? And now we hear, Ryan. Now we hear, bro. We know what each one can do, but can each one do what they were doing in the first fight better?
Well, and that's a good question that you bring up. So many times we see over and over in the sport of boxing that the first fight tends to be more of a drag out, and the second fight tends to be more technical, tends to be more of a point based. You know, I know this guy can take a vicious overhand right. I know this guy can keep me at bay with his jab. So I need to be more cautious. The thing is, with this fight, the first fight was all of that already. So we know that they were technical.
Right.
We know that Fury has that reach. We know that Deontay can close that distance in what? I think ESPN broke it down in 0.33 seconds.
Shit.
I think is how he did it. Yeah, motherfucker's fast. And don't get me wrong, Tyson Fury's head movement for a heavyweight at that size is ungodly. You know, he's Muhammad Ali that has Ali by like fucking 8 inches. You know,
like I argue. I'm going to say this caveat, and we can argue this later. I think Tyson Fury could beat Muhammad Ali, but we'll keep moving on.
So now we have to look at this and see that both of these fighters have huge implications with a win and not terrible implications with a loss, but it definitely sets him back. So you almost think that with how highly technical of a fight the first one was, and we still saw those vicious knockdowns, you have to wonder if we're going to see knockdowns, right? If we go to Bovada, the online sports betting.
Tell me the odds. Break them down. Break them down.
All right. So they have Deontay Wilder as a slight favorite. This is as close to a pick'em as it gets in boxing, ladies and gentlemen. They have Deontay Wilder as a negative 125 favorite over Tyson Fury's plus 105 underdog, which means if you bet $100 on Tyson Fury and he wins, you're winning $5.
No. You win 105.
Well, okay, clearing. You know what I mean, right?
Oh, right.
Yeah. Your net is to. I mean, yes, your net is to win, but
no, that's what plus 105 means. Like you bet 100 and then you get 105 back.
Right, but what I'm saying is this. I mean, I'm looking in the math of this.
Okay.
Like if you bet 105 and win 105, that'd be a pick'em. You know, with Deontay Wilder, you bet 125 for him
I
to
see
win,
what you mean,
wins,
yeah.
and you win 100.
I'm an idiot. I've been drinking too much. Yes, you have to bet 100 and what is it, 25 for Deontay to even get 100 back. Yeah.
Correct.
Yes. So
that's what I was trying to say. I'm looking at the fact that you're other than winning back, you know, your initial bet, you're literally only winning an extra $5 on top of the 100. It's a straight pick'em, right? If you end up winning, you bet $100, you're going to win $100 plus $5. Mm-hmm. If you end up betting $100, you're going to win $75. So it's pretty fucking close.
Right. So Ryan's telling you is to make a parlay. You guys go listen to some breakdown podcasts. Go pick some parlays on UFC and go get your shit. And don't do a straight pick on this fight.
Yeah. Don't do that. If you're going to do a straight pick 'em, like you said, go and parlay the over-under of the amount of times that the fucking Astros are going to get hit in the regular season.
God damn. Went straight for the baseball reference. Let's leave them out of it, though.
Sorry, I'm going to take my shots wherever applicable. I mean, I keep showing people signs of where to go to places, and I'm afraid that in the midst of that, the Astros are going to steal them. So
let's talk about what we learned from the first fight, first of all. And I'm going to break down a few things that just make sense. We do know that Tyson Fury can go a long, long time without being hit by that right. We do know Deontay Wilder can hit him and knock him down. We do know Tyson Fury can get back up. We do know Tyson Fury, while his defense was very great, and I thought Teddy Atlas said this best. He's like, it's like making a sandwich. You got peanut butter, no jelly. You got the defense. Where's the offense? What are you doing? And it makes absolute sense. For every time that Fury had a miss, he wasn't making him pay. And when he was making him pay, the shots weren't that heavy, right? Which kind of, when we're breaking down, not just our takeaways from the first fight, but when we're breaking down this second fight, why he's made some changes in camp, why I think he's made some changes in camp. But that's a lot of what we saw. We saw Deontay be very one-dimensional, not use the jab, not do enough of what he needed to do to set up the right? And yes, he can clear distance. Yes, he can hit Tyson Fury when Tyson Fury, I think, has lapses of like where he just stops moving, where it's almost like, I think I've got this. Oh, shit, I just got hit. Right? Or I think I've got enough distance to clear this. Oh, shit, I just got hit. Oh, shit, I'm just right in front of him, right? Where he makes these small mistakes. And it's just like Deontay said, you know, these guys got to be perfect for 12 rounds. I just got to be perfect for 1 second.
I love
like, goddamn. It's absolutely true. I mean, if you see Deontay fight Luis Ortiz in his last fight, the motherfucker was losing 7 rounds. He was down. I didn't have him winning a goddamn round. And then all of a sudden, he didn't even, I went back to rewatch it. He didn't even land the left. He just put it in Luis's face and then follows up. And the crazy fucking animalistic thing about Deontay Wilder's power is it's just it is just unadulterated, unfiltered. He hit the motherfucker in the forehead and knocked him out. Who the fuck hit somebody in the fucking forehead? I know the temple. I know the back of the head. I know the fucking, like, by the ear. I know all that area. You even know the chin, right?
Oh, yeah.
Even the cheek. But the goddamn forehead, Ryan, get the fuck out of here, bro. Get the fuck out of here. So those are my big takeaways. And also another thing, I've been watching a lot of, like, a build up for this and breakdowns of that. And Ben Davidson, who's Tyson Fury's former coach, he broke down something that was very crazy about the first fight. And he's like, we noticed when Deontay has his hands up. So you've done boxing, so you can see my hands. When my hands are in the high guard position,
right,
we knew that Deontay wouldn't throw. He couldn't throw. That's when he wasn't throwing. So we knew when we had his hands up here, we could go to the body, go to the head, right, with the jab, go to the face with the right. We knew we could attack when he does that position, when he shells in that position. We knew when he had his hand between, I think he said his, like around his nipple area and his hip, he's getting ready to cock back. So we knew when we saw that, we back up. And if you rewatch the fight, like I did it was on Monday night, I rewatched it with that new lens, and you see that. And you see that. That is one thing that is abundantly clear. So even I, like, as somebody who picks up what coaches say and stuff like that, student in the game, I see that. So somebody like Tyson Fury saw that, paid attention to it, and I mean, he just got caught with it twice. The other thing, though, that Teddy Atlas was pointing out is from the first fight that we notice is the direction that Tyson Fury moves is always to the right. To the right. It's always leaning back to the right. And then coming under. Then to the right, coming under. So now in the second fight, if Deontay can kind of shift his punch variations, maybe hit him with a hook, if he learns how to do a hook or do an uppercut instead of just that straight right, that could be something. But those are two, again, a whole bunch of things I noticed from the first fight. Ryan, any takeaways or anything I haven't noticed about the first fight before we move on to the next thing?
Well, what you're looking at, what you just most recently said was, maybe get that hook, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe Deontay Wilder watched Ryan Garcia fight in his last two fights. I don't know.
Pick up that left hook, yeah.
That would, if you're looking for that left hook, like there is your prima donna for how to throw a left hook. It's Ryan Garcia. But you have to wonder, and something I haven't seen many people talking about, at least not as blatantly as they should. They talk about Tyson Fury's head movement, which is very good for a heavyweight. They talk about Deontay Wilder's ability to close distance quickly. But nobody has flat out just said the word that we're looking for, right? Speed. Speed in the ring. How fast are you as opposed to your opponent? And I think that's going to be the biggest takeaway from the second fight. Mm-hmm. Because we saw, Wilder throwing those quick shots, but we also saw Fury dodging those and sticking his tongue out from the first fight, right? Like, right. You can't hit me.
It's not
and
just...
all of a sudden, shit, you got hit.
On that note, let's break down what defense actually was used in this fight, right? And it was a lot of head movement. It was a lot of body movement, right? Leans, a lot of, dips and shit like that. But what it was also, and one thing I think I talked about this on a long time ago podcast, but we call this predictive forecasting. That's the type of defense that people like Floyd Mayweather use, right? Predictive forecasting. It's not just reflexes. Anybody can do reflex. Like you can just, Ryan Garcia does fucking reflex, shit all the time. But we talk about predictive forecasting, and that's the ability to read what your opponent's going to do before they even know that they're going to do it, kind of, right? That they know that right. That they're going to do it. And you're guessing their patterns. It's just pattern recognition is another way to say it, but it's predictive forecasting. And that is the type of shit that Tyson Fury did. And of course, offensively, we all know, I think quick is a great word. I think covering distance is a better word for Deontay Wilder. That man can cover some fucking distance really quick. Is that what they were showing on ESPN?
Yes, it was. It was the ability of 0.33 seconds to close distance. You say cover, close, 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other.
Shit, yeah, it's the same shit right there.
Closing distance, right?
Yeah.
The ability to snap that jab out. You know, it's almost it's a jump punch.
Right.
It's not meant for any specific significant damage. It's meant more for, I'm now in your face. You tried to back up and you ran out of space, and I closed that distance before you got away from it for the second time.
And now I can set up the right.
Exactly. So, but what I like about this fight is we see that both Fury and Wilder have the ability to set up that right, but we also understand that both of them can take that right. And the question I think that's going to come out of this is going to be who can land the right more flush and who can land it when the other one is expecting it the least. Because if you want this to be a brawl where they both stand in the ring for the last 10 seconds, right? Like we see in massive UFC wars, you know, the last 10 seconds, they're just toe-to-toe, just throwing punches. You're not going to see that.
No. Go watch Dan Hooker and Paul Felder go do that this weekend. But don't watch this fight for that.
I like that. There you go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But, you know, I think that we're going to see a technical fight, but it's only going to be as technical as it takes the winner of this fight, for lack of a better term, and I'm using air quotes, and you see me using air quotes, as somebody to look and say, I've got the pattern. I need to bait him with a left, or I need to bait him with a body shot. I need to get him coming forward and load this right hand. And the first person that's able to do that is going to score the first knockdown in this fight. Now, what we saw from the first fight is we don't know if that first knockdown is going to be one of many or the only fucking one that we need.
That's true.
So that's where I look at this fight is, you know, yes, I want to see speed, and yes, Fury has the head movement, and yes, Deontay Wilder has the closing speed, but somewhere one of these has to give, because Fury can only dodge so many when you end up having 5 punches come at you in 2 seconds, and Wilder can only close as fast as he's able to back up Fury.
Yeah, and before we take our next break, I do want to point out, so like one thing that Deontay doesn't do, unless I think he has you hurt, is throw more than 1 or 2 punches, maybe even 3. It might be a 1-2 hook, because right after he always throws the 2, always the hook, always the hook, always the hook. What did he knock down Fury with the second time? The right and then the hook, right? The right and then the hook. So that is, I mean, I see what you're saying, at least on that aspect, but that, I don't know if that's like one thing he has to worry about, but definitely the distance coverage. I don't know about the volume, but definitely the distance coverage. On that note,
I'm gonna say one thing before we end up taking a break here.
Yeah,
because you mentioned that 2 and into the hook, right? And you're talking not the 3 hook, you're talking the 4 hook.
No. I'm talking about the 3. So he throws the 1, 2. So if you remember when he knocked down Fury the second time, it was a 1-2. He led with the 1, hit him with the 2. And then he hit on the way down was the 3, was the left hook. He hit him with that on the way down. I thought you were talking
about the 4.
No, not the right hook. If you're
talking about the 4, I have a problem with that because you literally cannot re-shift your hips from the 2 into the 4.
Yeah, he's not Canelo. He doesn't do that.
So I wanted to make sure. I'm like, wow, I don't think he can rapid fire that fast.
No, that's not him. Talk about the 3. So the 1-2-3, the 1-2-3 combo. But on that note, now that we got that cleared up, take one more break. We're going to come back, and then we're just going to go balls to the wall with dissecting this fight and everything surrounding it, controversy, fight camps, everything we've seen. Be right back, folks.
Who wins, Paulie?
The guy that can adjust better may ultimately come out to be the guy who comes out on top in the fight. And I don't know that Wilder can make those adjustments. We'll see.
David, who wins?
This time around, I think both fighters are going to come back better. I think Fury boxed brilliantly first time round. I think that was him with Ben in his corner, with a great game plan. He doesn't have Ben in the corner this time. In his last fight, he got a couple of horrendous cuts over his eye that could open up again. I've a couple of jabs that could open those cuts up again, which would mean he'd have the same fight with one eye. Trying to beat Deontay Wilder with two eyes is tough enough, let alone one eye with big looping shots. The fact that I'm hearing he's putting on additional weight to be heavier, which may in turn slow his mobility down, his speed and reflexes down. I have to go with Deontay Wilder by stoppage in this fight.
And we are back yet again. And you didn't even notice the motherfucking differential. Man, the kids are still saying that, right? Differential?
Do they know what a differential is?
Let's move on to boxing, Ryan. Okay. Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder too. I think we did a whole bunch of build up from I think we covered as much ground from the first fight as we could. We move on to now. Let's start from this. Pick up the pieces from the second fight. Let's do this by story, right? Let's do this like a story, Ryan. Hey, Ryan, do you see my hands?
I see your hands.
Let's do this like a story. I got spirit fingers going on. So the two fight, it ends up in a split draw. Or yeah, not even an unanimous draw. It was a split draw. And the boxing community is kind of split. You got people saying Tyson Fury. A lot of people. I think a lot more people were saying Tyson Fury should have won that fight, to be quite honest, than Deontay Wilder. But you have the boxing community split as to what would happen if they ever fought again.
But you're forgetting one thing before we talk about what would happen if they fought again, and that was this. For everyone who wanted to say that they saw Tyson Fury winning this fight.
I did.
You have a lot of people who are saying, man, did Tyson Fury really beat that 10 count?
The controversial 10 count. Controversial 10 count.
And it's all a matter of when does the 10 count start? Does it start when the referee starts, or does it start when
the seconds are going on the time clock? Yeah,
exactly. And depending on which one you were looking at, depending on if you believed that Fury got up before the 10 count or not.
He got up on the rest 10 count.
I'm gonna give you this. Fury got up, and Fury got up in a fucking war. And I will never take that away from him. Regardless of which 10 count you're looking at, he definitely beat one. He may or may not have beaten another, but he was definitely up right around 10 regardless. So I'm going to throw that out as a null and void.
Okay.
We're going to say that Tyson Fury is a tough motherfucker.
Yes, he's a gypsy king. There is some controversy about that. That's where it is. There was some controversy about that. And then there was a whole bunch of talk as to when the next fight would be. Originally, they were aiming for, I think, I remember I went back to go listen to Deontay talk about this, and they was talking about like April, May, June. And that fell through. I think Tyson Fury got injured or something like that. And so, needless to say, Deontay fights Dominic Breazeale. I think it was like in April. Was it May?
It was May.
Holy shit! Damn.
I think you and I were actually watching.
We watched it together. Yeah, you were here. Yeah, okay.
We didn't. We had to blink, and then the fucking fight.
Well, he knocked him down once, and then he knocked him down dead. Right? Like he gave him a warning shot, and then he's like, "Do you want to come back here, kid?" Yeah, get down. You did. You missed the hickadoe, right?
Yeah, I do miss that.
But so that happened. Tyson Fury signs with Top Rank ESPN, and then because the first fight was on Showtime. It was a Showtime pay-per-view. Okay, yes. So that's what I remember. Okay, so Tyson Fury signs with ESPN Top Rank. So now his fights are moved to Fight Pass, and he fights Schwartz in June. That I do remember. And that fight...
We don't remember the Schwartz fight so much. We remember the aftermath Aerosmith sing-along that followed.
That's right. He did that. Just like he did after the Vladimir Klitschko win, when he sang, "And I don't want to miss this." Yeah, fucking, he has a beautiful voice though for a gypsy, man. God bless him. But so he beat Schwartz. Was it 2 rounds? Like, it was very quick.
Second round.
It was very quick.
TKO.
And then everybody's like, holy shit, if these two fight again, Holy shit. Because one just beat one in 1 round, the other beat 2 in 2 rounds. Then Tyson turns around and fights on DCCAs because the Mexican who's supposed to be our Mexican, Canelo, didn't want to fight. Didn't want to fight. He wanted to be a little girl. He didn't want to fight. So Tyson put on for my peoples, and he fought that dude Otto. Mad cut in the second round, and then just kind of prevailed. Like it was a grimy fight with a grimy fighter, and he fought a grimy style. I think he fought a style to survive, to not get hit anymore on that right. I don't think he did what he wanted to do, given that he got cut. Whatever, he survived, he won, it happened. And then we see old Deontay Wilder rematch with Luis Ortiz in November. And oh my God, that fight. If you thought Luis Ortiz was winning the first one, if you weren't sure about if he was winning it till he lost, he was damn sure winning the second one. Until that man got get dead. Blessed with Jesus. You know what I mean? He got baptized, in the words of Deontay Wilder. But that leads me to think like this. Like, everybody wants to point to, as we go into this fight, everybody seems to remember the Otto fight and not the Schwartz fight. The Schwartz fight, like, Tyson Fury just looked oh my God, like untouchable. Untouchable. But we all remember the Otto fight with the cut. And it went 12 rounds, and it was grimy. It was nasty. Let's remember, hey, a 40-some-odd-year-old man was beating the shit out of Deontay Wilder for 7 rounds till he made a mistake. And that's the thing with Deontay Wilder. You just can't make mistakes. It's like he said. These fighters got to be perfect for 12 rounds. I just got to be perfect for 1 second. There's no other better way to say it. I give respect where respect is due with this goddamn man. I love him every other fight besides him fighting my guy Fury. Oh, I think I just gave away who I'm going for.
Well, before we get into those predictions.
Yes.
Let's talk about all the. I mean, we've talked about.
Did I miss anything on the build-up? Did I miss anything that you wanted to touch on the build-up, though?
Yeah. And here's one thing, and I love Tyson Fury. The man speaks, and he's fucking brilliant with how he sells fights. Mm-hmm. You know, and we remember the interview that he did where he was talking about everything he's doing to get his testosterone, his masculinity up. And I was with him, man. Like, I got you. Until he started saying, yeah, I'm masturbating like 6 times a day. I'm like, hang on a minute. Hang on. Fucking back up the bus. The bus left, I wasn't on it. You mean to tell me that an increase of masturbation increases your testosterone and your physical prowess? Well, shit, Blake. I'm now going to be the UFC, Bellator 1, WBO, WBC, IBF, WBA, fucking Olympic decathlete gold medalist if it's based solely on masturbation.
God damn it.
That one missed me a little bit.
I'm dead. I'm dead.
A little bit.
You know what? I might have you beat, though. I'm going for 7 a day, Ryan!
We'll fucking meet at the MGM Grand next month.
The Battle of the Beaters.
Oh, shit. And then, of course, we had the shoving match.
Which beater can beat the battle?
Oh, my God. And then we had the shoving match. We'll downplay the masturbation aspect of it for a moment, and we'll go right into the shoving match. And, man, I don't know who showed more of a physical prowess in that particular shoving match, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's two people who are refusing to back down to each other. It's a, yo, we can do this right here, homie, kind of a moment.
I mean, and before we even get to that, too, I want to touch on the masturbation topic because Tyson Fury, it was something in The Sun. I don't know how accurate that fucking newspaper is, but they seem to cover everything. He talked about he's got newfound jaw strength because he be eating pussy. God bless that man.
Well, now I clearly have a glass jaw. Jesus Christ. Thanks, Tyson. Apparently you've got me beat in one aspect, but I've got you in fucking spades in the other one. Great. Moving on.
Moving on, though. Yeah. Like, and here's the thing with that whole so we touch on that. That leads us to this fight. We all knew this fight was happening, and when they announced it, oh my God. Fucking fireworks, right? Two of the best heavyweights, both still undefeated. The only blemish is the draw. And then now we have also, so even like going into this fight, even before we had the shoving match today that we were talking about and alluding to, we have Tyson Fury switching camps. And he's switching camps to Sugar Hill Stewart. I believe that's his name. Or he goes by Sugar Hill Stewart. You know who this is, right? This is Emmanuel Stewart's nephew. And Emmanuel Stewart early on was one of Tyson Fury's trainers. So these two, despite of what everybody wants to say about Ben Davidson, who I think is an amazing trainer, but was only with them for a short while. Like, people forget this. He was only with them for those 3 fights in 2018. And well, no. Those 3 fights in 2018 and then the 2 ones. So 5 fights out of Tyson Fury's 30 fight career. But prior to that, he was, I think he had some ties to Emmanuel Stewart, like back in the day. So I think it's interesting that he got with a coach who's ready to add some flavor to his game. I think a coach is ready to get him back to his roots. I think a coach that says he can bring some power into those punches, because that's what Tyson Fury needs. Like, how many times in that first fight, man, did you see Tyson Fury land the 1-2 and you're like, if only that was a little bit heavier, that could have knocked that Deontay would be like, he might have gotten fucked up,
or maybe a little bit more muscle. I mean, let's not mince words for a moment. Tyson Fury's a big fucking boy, you know, and he's got that power and he's got that speed. He doesn't look like a fucking elite, world-class heavyweight boxer. You know, he's got that tire, right?
He's got a little excess skin from having, being 420 pounds. I totally understand that.
Absolutely, but we sit here and we look at this, and you're trying to build up this mold of a heavyweight champion. We remember looking at Tyson. We remember looking at Ali.
Emmanuel. What's his name? Who was I just thinking of? Who's the guy that beat God damn it, not Emmanuel Stewart.
Who beat Tyson?
Yeah, what was his name?
Buster Douglas.
The other one, the one after that. It's on the tip of my tongue with a V. Evander Holyfield. God damn it, why did I say Emmanuel Stewart? Evander Holyfield. Dude, that was the first guy that we saw. We're like, holy fuck, you can look like that and still box like that? Like, you can be like in pristine shape. Like, you look like a body lifter, a bodybuilder. And look at Andy Ruiz Jr. Nobody looked at him and said, this man's going to dethrone Anthony Joshua. Right, and Anthony Joshua, goddamn, but that man looks beautiful. A beautiful Greek god right there.
So it's almost to the point where we've acknowledged the fact that one has a better looking physique than the other one, but because we saw the first fight, we need to throw physique out of the equation, right? Physique means nothing.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, we're just going to lead right into it. We've talked about the closing of the distance, and we've talked about head movement and, how training camps have changed.
And also Tyson Fury said he added weight.
Right.
Did you hear about this?
Yeah. I did.
Do you believe
I
him?
don't doubt that for a moment.
Do you believe him?
I do. Because Andy Ruiz Jr. said he lost weight and the motherfucker came in heavier. So this guy's saying he added weight and he's not telling a lie to save his fucking life. And Ruiz Jr. is saying he lost weight. And I'm like, you're one fucking, you're, what world do you live on where you lost weight?
Are you sure you didn't just break the scale and you got a broken scale, or what's wrong with that shit, man?
Somewhere along the lines, Andy Ruiz is listening to this and he's going to come to my place and beat my ass. But
I'm a laugh. I'm a laugh.
It's the truth. We can throw the physique out of this, the physical prowess out of this, and realize at the end of the day, Tyson Fury has a significant reach. And he has the ability to throw power punches that Wilder, probably to this point, at least until you go back to the first Ruiz fight, certainly the second one, you haven't really seen. And it makes you wonder, and we'll get into this in a moment.
What are you talking? What do you mean power? Oh, what was that? Ruiz? What was the Wilder Ruiz connection?
No, Wilder Ortiz.
Oh, Wilder Ortiz. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So we're looking at the concept of.
I thought you were mixing all of us Mexicans up, man.
No. Hey, you know what? It's 2020, and we don't do that anymore. And first and foremost, there's Mexico
and there's Cuba.
And these are not the same things. All right, I'm woke. I know what's up.
He's white boy woke, folks. Okay, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
We go on a tangent, but. At the end of the day, we sit here and we've talked about training camps and we've talked about the difference between fight 1 and fight 2, but we haven't come right out and said what's the X factor in this fight for you. So Blake, I'm going to leave it up to you, man, and we'll go back to me after this. What is the X factor in the Fury Wilder Part 2 fight for you?
Okay. My X factor is who can make who can make the most improvement? Okay. Who can make the most improvement? And it's like that's so broad, Blake. What do you mean? What improvements? And I think everybody's head's going to go to who can make the most improvement from the first fight. As far as if you're just doing the same thing, can Wilder land the punch quicker, and can Fury dodge all the punches for all 12 rounds? But that's actually not where I'm going to go with this. Where I'm going to go with this. And it's close to that, but not quite. Who can make the most improvement? Could we see, like, what is more realistic? Could we see Wilder develop all these new boxing techniques where he's setting up the right and it's looking crisp, and he's setting up game plans, and he's coming forward and it's looking nice, and kind of like a Lennox Lewis style. That's pressure, but it's the one but with a 1-2. Not everything is full of like crank yank and power, right? But can he come with pressure and not just patience like the Ortiz fight? And I think some people overcredit like Wilder. Like, I don't think he was just patient. Like, there's some rounds there where that motherfucker was just kind of like, fuck. Like, I don't know what the fuck. I can't do what the fuck I want to do. But is that a better, like, is that more realistic? Is since the first fight, what's more realistic? Wilder adding all this newfound skill that we've never seen before to be able to land his right hand a lot faster or more efficiently or better, or set it up more or have better pressure? Or is it more realistic to say Tyson Fury, if he does the same, like, we're all assuming that they're going to do the same thing they're going to do. If he does the same thing he's going to do when he lands the second fight, is it more realistic to say he has more power in the second fight to be able to do what his punches couldn't do in the first fight?
Okay. And here's where I'm gonna throw one back at you. If we go through the history of both these guys' boxing records, we realize that after a certain point in the fight, it's just going to decision. Whether it's a clear decision or whatever, it's just going to decision. And you look at this, and most of the heavyweight boxing fights will go this way, right? If you don't land it at a certain point, it's not going to happen because you don't have anything left in the gas tank to land it.
And I mean, okay, continue with their point. Because I got something to say.
So I was sitting here thinking to myself, regardless of who I think is going to win, I'm thinking, when is that victory going to happen if I say this isn't going to decision? Nobody wants – well, people may not want to see it or may not have it going that way, but I don't know if a decision is the way that this fight needs to go. I think it needs to be a knockout or a technical knockout. Probably more of a knockout the way that these two fighters fight. If we go back to this, the last time that you saw a knockout after the 7th round for Wilder, you have to go back to 2016 where he won a 9th round knockout. If you go back to Fury, the last time that you saw 7th round or later was in 2013 where he won in a 7th round knockout at Madison Square Garden against Steve Cunningham.
And he got knocked down in that fight. Okay.
So my thought is, if I'm not betting on the winner or the loser, but I'm betting on this going decision versus it being a clear-cut winner, then I'm betting to myself, which round does this end in, and who has the better ability to win this via knockout? And if I'm going on that logic, and I'm going in fights that happened in between, then my money has to lay with Wilder winning via knockout. Do I think it happens in the 7th? No. Do I think it happens past the 9th? No. Split the difference. It seems like a valid argument to say that Deontay Wilder, if he's going to win, is going to win in an 8th round knockout.
Okay.
He can't go past 9. We clearly know it's not going to happen under 7. So the money line has to lay on the fact that Deontay Wilder, if he's going to win via knockout, it's going to happen in the 8th.
I mean, he damn near killed a guy in the 12th, the last round.
I know.
I mean, he didn't.
The last fight that Tyson Fury had went to unanimous decision in the 12th. So what are we talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. He didn't.
Otto Whalen versus Luis Ortiz.
Yeah, he didn't. But I'm just saying, like there is no the X factor, separately, I think in the eyes of everyone, if you bring that question into the picture, is the X factor always is Deontay Wilder's right. That's the great equalizer. That is the, you know what I'm saying? That is the nuclear warhead. That is the destroyer of worlds.
Okay, so that's fine, but I have to ask you this. What does Fury have to counter that? Fury doesn't have that overhand right anymore.
No, and again, this just goes back to the first fight. For all the offense you have to play a smart defense. It's just like fucking football. You're a football guy. But and the question when you asked me originally, I was taking that. I'm not just going to go with the answers from the first fight, which is, this guy's defense going to beat that guy's offense. Cause that now is null and void. It is now, what are the new X factors going in? And it's, can you do what you did if you're Deontay Wilder just a lot more efficiently and a lot more better? And if you're Tyson Fury, can you do what you kept on doing? But then every time you had offense and he landed more punches, according to Concuboncy, 9 out of 12 rounds, he outlanded Deontay Wilder. Can you just make those punches count just a little bit more? And I think
but do you see in a real world that if this goes to decision again, that Fury wins this fight?
Yeah, I mean that's his biggest way of winning. That's the most. If you're turning percentages, you're going to be betting either on Deontay by the KO or the highest percentages, right? 90% probably is Deontay's going to win by KO. 90% is going to say 90% of the money's going to be on Fury winning by decision. But there is that little bit of if we're talking about changes, if we're talking about realistic changes, and not just putting going to the percentage, because I went for Fury in the first fight and I thought he was going to win by decision. And he didn't win, but he didn't lose.
It's true. You were equally right and wrong.
And wrong at the same time. What kind of conundrum bullshit is this, Ryan Sprage?
But again, this goes back to the Anthony Joshua, Andy Ruiz Jr. rematch, right? Mm-hmm. We expected Anthony Joshua to try and come in and be like, shit, man, I can't leave this up to the judges.
But he did.
But he did, and he won. And he won and regained his belts.
Right.
So I can see in the boxing world, this isn't John Jones fighting, any of his other fighters before, where it's well, you didn't dethrone him, so I can't give you the belt. Mm-hmm. This is legit. This is boxing. This is a different sport. You win the fight by winning the rounds. So Tyson, as far as I see it, is just going to have to survive onslaughts, because those fucking onslaughts are coming, and he's just going to have to outpoint him in 7 or 8 rounds, mm-hmm. because we all know that Wilder's going to knock you on your fucking ass.
Yeah,
I think it's a matter of you're going to lose that round, but you better win 2 coming up.
I think
you better have won the two before that.
There's a few inevitable things that are going to happen, and I called it in the first fight. I said that Tyson Fury was going to land more punches, and Deontay Wilder was going to knock him down. Now, the thing I didn't know that we now know is Tyson Fury can get back up. Like, that's the thing we do know is the man gets back up.
He had a fucking halo the second time he got back up, but
Deontay Wilder called it gypsy magic on Joe Rogan's podcast, and I'm going to stick with that. This gypsy magic shit is unequivocally why I think Tyson Fury is he's just an amazing human being, and like why he got up. Like that's the only thing that explains it. Like the motherfucker just like, I don't know, he's got all the spirits of his ancestors like floating through him and shit. All the boxing bare knuckle motherfuckers floating through him. I don't know, man. But like, two things I do know in this fight is Tyson Fury is going to hit a hell of a lot harder, and Deontay Wilder is going to knock him down. Those are two things I do know. Now the X factors are, again, like out of those things, is when Deontay knocks him down, will Tyson get up? And when Tyson hits him, which I think he will hit him harder and he'll hit him first, is what will happen to Deontay Wilder.
Is the punch going to be enough? Is it going to be a true?
Is it going to be more powerful than the first fight? Is it going to be more powerful than the first fight?
No. Because let's not get it twisted. And I listen to people try and argue with me hands down that they thought that John Jones lost that fucking fight to Dominic Reyes. And they ended up using, Dominic Reyes won the first 3 rounds. And I'm like, no, Reyes lost the 3rd round. And they said, well, he landed more strikes. How many of them were significant? And then I realized that the quote-unquote significant strike is about as arbitrary as a fucking NBA assist. What the fuck is a significant strike as opposed to just a strike, right? At what point does that strike severely alter your game plan moving forward?
Significant strike is I think it's more of a textbook term that people don't realize. It's anything other than a jab, as we all know, right? It's anything other than a jab. And all I was saying for Tyson Fury's case is those right hands that he landed in the first fight. Imagine it when he lands those. If he's talking the way he's talking and he's training the way he's training, and they're doing the things they're saying the things and doing the things that should happen on game day. What happened when those punches land, and if they're just a little bit harder, is all I'm saying. Right? Those
I need to see what you do when you follow up. I need to see your follow up to those quote unquote significant strikes. I need to see what you do when you hit him and you break his spirit a little bit.
Okay.
You continue to move forward. Because if you don't, and you sit back and play defense and say, ooh, that one strike could win me the round, you're going to lose the fight.
And I don't think that's his plan. Like, I think the way he's talking is he's hopefully wants to hit harder. And, like, there were a few punches, like, if you rewatch the fight where, like, Deontay's kind of, like, visibly, like, what the fuck? Like, if that was just a little bit harder, like, it might have done what Ortiz did to him in the first fight, which is shooketh him to the core, where he had to hold himself up against Ortiz's shoulder to fall, like stop from falling down. I believe it was the 7th or 8th round. He was shooketh to his core, man. So I know it can happen, and I know that Tyson Fury's camp is watching it and know it can happen. It's just like, can Tyson Fury do it? Like that's the question, man. You know what I mean?
I do, but the unequivocal question that exists for us is this, and Blake, we've taxed it to death. Mm-hmm. We've gone over the X's and O's. Mm-hmm. We've gone over the past fight plan, the current fight plan, game plan moving in. Fight camp is over.
Fight camp's over. Done. It's fight week.
It's fight week. They're doing nothing more than maybe light sparring, and they're getting in the fucking sauna, depending on if Tyson Fury really gained weight.
I don't think he's cutting shit.
So the question...
Did you know he got with George Lockhart?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, he certainly didn't lose weight.
Oh, my God. Ah!
I said it.
Low key shade to being thrown.
I said it, and I'm going to get blasted for it later. I don't give a shit. But anyway, the only question that exists after us breaking this down just ad nauseum is Blake Weather Stevenson. Mm-hmm. How do you see this fight going down?
I mean, That's a lot harder of a question. I thought you were just going to ask me who I was going for. I'm going for Tyson Fury. And I went for him in the first fight. And I got to ride or die with my dude. Come hell or high water. No matter what the odds. No matter, no matter what's in front of him, man. And the thing is, each one knows the other opponent a little bit more in this fight. If I am... Man...
If betting odds, bravado didn't exist. It's a straight up.
Yeah, I don't want to
go.
You
bet 100, you win 100. You bet 100, you lose 100.
I don't want to go with the decision because I think like that's. I mean, like I could say
that's
easily.
Horrible. That's horrible for the sport right now.
I could say Fury. Right.
Is another decision.
Right. So, and I think that's a follow up question is that you asked me earlier was what is best for the sport, and that's an entirely different question. I want you to ask me that as soon as this question's done because I think that's a great kind of follow up into being anticipated for a winner of this fight. But I'm picking Fury. Give me a TKO. Give me a TKO in the 10th or 11th, man.
Ooh, you're going late into those fucking decision rounds.
Because Deontay gets a little tired, and I think what Tyson's doing is here's kind of mastermind working. I was watching there's two interviews that stuck out to me that really kind of say it all for me and kind of where I'm going with this. And I know that Tyson says he's going to knock him out in 2. I think that's just that Conor McGregor when he said he was going to knock out Floyd Mayweather in 2 rounds or 4 rounds or whatever it was. And when he said he was going to knock out Dennis Seaver in 2 minutes, right? Like it's just that bullshit talk, but it kind of makes you think like, okay, damn. But Tyson Fury, we know, has the cardio. He can go the distance. It's not comfortable waters for Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder gets a little bit more tired. And there was the two things that I want to point to. One was a video from Sean Porter. We know him. He just fought Errol Spence back in September. And that man's fought everyone at fucking 147, to be quite honest.
Yes,
but
yes.
Sean Porter did maketh some good quotes and some he had a little video on Fight Hype, so everybody go check out fighthype.com, Fight Hype on YouTube. But he talked about Tyson Fury talking about a game plan, and he talked about Tyson Fury like what would happen if Tyson Fury like got in close, fought on the inside. Like what would happen if that happened? Because Tyson Fury is talking like different now. Like he's almost talking like he kind of knows like some things in the words of Conor McGregor. He kind of knows some things. What if he were to fight on the inside? Like what if he were to do that? And I think he kind of alluded to it. The second thing I want to point to is, and I hate this fucker, and I can't believe I'm like not quoting him, but like pointing to a video that he fucking did is Skip fucking Bayless. And he was going for Wilder. He had Wilder winning the first fight, which God bless him. That man is delusional as fuck. Like, so I can't believe I'm saying what I'm saying. But he did say something that absolutely made sense. And he said when Tyson Fury got back up, he's like, he had some sort of new spirit and he started boxing Deontay from the inside and he started hurting him. And Deontay had no fucking answer because Deontay is a mid-range fighter. Not a long-range fighter. He's a mid-range fighter. He's a guy who does the 1-2, right? The 1-2-3 even. But what happened was Fury got in close and just started like just even though he had the longer range, he started doing this. So what if, and we'll walk in the hypothetical, what if he's putting on the weight to make that man tired, to lean against that man, to hold that man, to do what he did to Klitschko, damn near. Right? And
there's no damn near. He did do that to Klitschko.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to point to that game plan damn near, bringing that damn near game plan. Not saying he did that damn near, but bringing that damn near game plan into this fight. Yes, he did do that to Klitschko. He Klitschko'd Klitschko. And Klitschko didn't like it, to be fucking quite honest. But hey, too fucking bad, man. There's a guy better than you. But what if he does? What if he damn near does that up until like the latter part of the fight, and he gets Deontay so tired and so off his game, and he's now put on like a little bit. That's what we call weight. Let's call it muscle. Not just like he's throwing on a few extra beer cans into his fucking belly. Like, the man's still trim, to be quite honest. What if he's throwing on extra muscle because he wants to just get a little bit more, gunpowder behind that, them fireworks that are coming off his arms? So that's why I'm leaning toward a later round stoppage, 10 or 11th round, Tyson Fury. If I'm wrong and it goes to the decision, fuck it. It's Tyson Fury. But I am taking Tyson Fury. Give me 10 or 11 round. Not even a KO, but give me a TKO.
There you go.
Mr. Ryan Sprage, what do you got?
That's where you and I are going to differ because, like you said, Deontay Wilder is a mid-range boxer. He knocked him out not once but twice.
Knocked him down.
In that fight. Knocked down. My apologies. In that mid-range. And I think that Wilder realized that he was human in that fight. And I think he realized, I got to train harder. I got to train faster. If I'm going to lose, I know that I have clearly shown I have the ability to go the distance and scrap out those later rounds. But I think he needs to go for a knockout. I think he wants the knockout. And I'm not going to give him 2-3 rounds. No, that's ludicrous. But it was why I was asking you about knockouts in around 7, 8, 9 rounds, right? Who has done it more recently? Who has done it more consistently? And who knows that they need that knockout win more? And I think that in that realm, I think Deontay Wilder knows he needs it. I think he puts Fury on his butt, not on his back, on his butt. In the 5th, 6th round, he makes Fury kind of play some defense. He tries to use Fury's extra weight against him because with weight, as you know, there also comes that ability to get tired. It's hard to fucking bounce around on your legs 10, 11, 12 rounds when you have that much extra weight on you. I don't care if that weight is muscle or fat. Weight is weight. And I think that's going to tire Fury. And I think that when Fury realizes, shit, Wilder just put me on my butt, and this was in the 6th round, he's going to start breathing heavy. And I think that's when Wilder's going to go to work, and he's going to very much establish that mid-range game that has made Deontay Wilder the fighter that he is. And with that in mind, I think that he's going to land that 3, that overhand 3 against Fury. And I'm going to say it's either going to be late in the 8th round to where Fury is just like, get me out of this round and let me regroup, or it's going to be early in the 9th round and Wilder's just going to fucking clip him. So,
overhand 3, you mean like a looping like left hook?
Yes, a looping. No, I'm sorry, overhand 4. My apologies, overhand 4.
Like an overhand hook, like an overhand.
Yes, yeah. I think he's literally landing that 4. I think he's landing the right, and I think that he's ending Fury with the right, not the left.
I mean, that's how he ends everybody. But yeah.
So I think that he's going to land that, and I think that he's going to win it either late 8th round or early 9th round. So give me Wilder in a knockout. And we're talking plus or minus 30 seconds in either round. Either he does it with 2.5 minutes in the 8th, or he does it in the first fucking 30 seconds of the 9th.
I mean, there's a lot of fables going on with your story, bro. Because, like, I can't think of a time besides where he had Luis Ortiz hurt where he was leading the charge between the 4th and the 6th, 7th rounds, man. Like, he just doesn't do that. Like, because he never gets there because he always ends shit in the 1st and 2nd round. Like,
again, we've expelled the rumors that this fight is going to be like the first fight, right? You know, they both went.
So you're saying with game changing, but like.
I'm saying with game changing.
In the words of Teddy Atlas, man, like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and that, like, he's set in his ways, bro. I don't think that changes. I don't think that changes. Like, you're set. You can learn some, like, kind of one thing or two things, but this man is set in his ways. Like, this man is 43 fights in his career. Like, if we were going to see some shit like that, we would have seen some shit like that. And we ain't ever seen no shit like that besides him hurting somebody. So I think not him being pressured, I like to placate to your point, and I'll play devil's advocate against mine, and I hate doing this. But to placate to your point, if he lands a shot in the 5th or the 6th, he could come on heavy as the 7th goes on, and maybe even he hurts him again in the 8th, and he's like, I'm going to come on heavy in the 9th and just start doing what Wilder does and go wild. But as far as like pressure, like ineffective pressure, like is what he was doing. Ineffective pressure is what he was doing best the last fight. And like, I don't know if he does anything better, like unless he gets that one in. But that's me placating to your point as best as possible and as realistic as possible. But you know what? You could be right too, Ryan. And I could be absolutely talking out of my ass.
But I'll tell you what. The gauntlet's been thrown. You have your prediction. I have mine. Mm-hmm. But let's wrap a nice, pretty bow around this. And let's talk about what the future holds for this based on the outcomes. Right? Because we've already heard Tyson Fury say he only has 2, maybe 3 more fights left on his deal. We've also heard that there's rumors circulating that this is going to be a trilogy fight. I don't know if this is a trilogy fight, man. The unanimous, the split draw makes you think that it's there. Uh-huh. But you need to see another draw. A decision. You need to see a decision.
I think
if it's to go to a third one.
I think if it's a decision and it goes either way, or if Tyson Fury wins, then there's going to be a third, because there's so much. You asked me this question earlier, and I'm surprised you didn't ask me it now. It's what is best for the division at this point, right? That was your question.
I knew you were already going to jump on it. So
it was because I love that question, actually, and I thought it was so fitting. But it was your question, and I want to give you credit for it. So, but what is best for the division, and what is best for the division, like as we talk right now, and I told you this before, and I'll say it again. What is best in this moment, Wednesday night at 11:44, is Wilder winning at this very moment, right? If Fury were to win by a KO and it looks like, oh my God, that is what's best at that point, because I think a lot of people are anticipating Fury to win by decision if he's going to win, and it's not going to be that great for the thing, and people are like, and they'll still ride with Wilder. Like Fury won't get his due if he wins by decision. I'll be quite honest with you.
I agree with that.
People will still hate. People will still be like, they'll treat him like they do Floyd Mayweather, man. Like they'll never give him respect until his career is over. And even then, they'll still be like, man, he still went to a decision. You know what I mean? Like, shut the fuck up. This game is about hitting. It's playing tag. It's hitting and not getting hit. And so with that in mind, what's best for the sport if Wilder or if Fury wins by a KO? That's what's best for the sport. But right now, before the fight, Wilder winning by KO is what's best for the sport, because he brings all the fans that are already anticipating and watching this fight, even if you're a Fury fan, no matter what, because you're now riding with the. When's the last time there was an American heavyweight champ that people got behind? Besides, like, was it Tyson?
Might have been, because Lennox Lewis wasn't American.
Was Evander Holyfield?
Holyfield was.
But did he have the hype as Tyson?
No, he didn't.
Right. Like, he wasn't America's love child. And before that, what was it? Who was it? Like, maybe George Foreman? And before that, it was maybe Muhammad Ali? Like, we're stretching now. We're stretching, bro. And
that's where people argue, you know, the legitimacy behind this sport, right? That's where people say, oh, boxing lost fans because of this, that, or the other thing. No, boxing may think that they lost fans, though they didn't, and let me clear this up. Boxing may think that they lost fans, and they're wrong in thinking this, because we haven't had a legit American heavyweight champion as dynamic as a Deontay Wilder in many years.
I feel like that's a powerful statement. I don't feel like he's that dynamic. I just feel like he's got a right hand, and he avoids getting hit enough to land that right hand.
But if he beats Tyson Fury after this fucking war that they had last time back,
it's not even going to matter. You're right.
Exactly. So when we talk about, and I'm going to quote Stephen A. Smith after that Cowboy Conor fight.
Uh-huh.
You know, I'm looking at what this means for your future opponents. It's not just what you do in the ring on Saturday fucking night. It matters for what the future holds. And if this goes to a decision, I don't know what the fucking next fight is. But I can tell you hands down, if Wilder wins via knockout, Eddie Hearn and his $1 billion investment into DAZN is going to make that fucking fight happen against Anthony Joshua. And he's going to push for a solid 8 to 9 months to have that fucking fight in the UK. And then the American boxing community is going to come out in fucking droves and say, no, motherfucker, this is in Vegas.
It has to be in America. Like, if Wilder wins, it has to be in America.
If Fury wins and he wins in a vicious KO, then we could see an Anthony Joshua Tyson Fury fight
in Vegas.
But we're not seeing that. We're not seeing that at fucking 11 o'clock at night Central Standard Time. We're having to wake our asses up to see it, at like fucking 11 in the morning.
No, I think they do that one right, man. I think they do that. I think they do that one in Madison Square. Because Anthony Joshua was ready to fight in Madison Square when he fought Big Baby Miller before Andy Ruiz stepped in. Remember that?
Yeah, but Eddie Hearn wants to have his English boxing in England.
Yeah, I know. Eddie
and
Hearn's
he's going to push for that.
Such a pretentious prick, that fuck, huh?
Yeah, but pretentious with $1 billion backing him. I mean, you can be as pretentious as you want with $1 billion behind you.
Oi, Eddie Hearn, you're a little cuntin', innit? Oh, that was nice, right? You like my little British accent?
I like that. There you go.
I've been watching I watched The Gentleman by Guy Ritchie. I've been practicing my British accent. But what is best for the sport, man? And I mean, that's my opinion on what's best for the sport, because you get to see Deontay Wilder and he smashes through every other person until there's another person that comes out looking like Tyson Fury, which I don't know who maybe the next person that we're going to have to wait for is Alexander Usyk. Yeah. And we've got some time for that fight to manifest. But I think if Wilder wins, and what is best for the sport is if Wilder wins, again, according to right now, he is the American shadow that takes over the heavyweight division. What is best for the sport if Fury wins by KO? And like, again, I can't talk in the future, but I'm just like, I'm saying, like, if that were to occur, that is actually what's going to be best for the sport, because Tyson Fury's the mouthpiece on that man sells anything, and people will watch, and people will still, and the thing is, they'll still get behind Wilder, like maybe like 20% less heavy, but dude, his shit's not going to be impacted that much, man. Like, he'll still fight Anthony Joshua and he'll still knock him down and knock him out probably. He'll still fight Andy Ruiz and still knock him out. He'll still fight Baby Miller and still knock him out. You know what I mean? Like, that part of his future doesn't change, the people who he beats. But, I mean, this is really going to depend on what happens if Fury wins, like how he wins. Because even if he wins by decision, what would have been best for the sport is him losing by KO to Wilder or him winning by KO. This has to end in KO for it to be good for the sport.
Well, yeah, and it has to end in a KO to be good for the sport, because anything other than a knockout or even a doctor stoppage TKO, so long as that is severely lopsided, is Anthony Joshua will push back. And he'll wait for a definitive champion,
and he'll keep like fucking pushing off and he'll be like, you motherfucker.
We need somebody to come out of this. I think still that it needs to be Wilder in definitive fashion over Fury definitive fashion. But whatever happens here for the future of this division, someone needs to come out of this with a
definitive win,
massive definitive win, to be able to get Anthony Joshua to lace up and go to work.
Like, even if Wilder wins by decision, that's not good for the sport. I'll be quite honest.
Because honestly, and they've already put it out in the universe that they're talking about a trilogy fight and that Tyson Fury only has a few more fights left on his contract. You know, what would be horrible for the sport is if Tyson Fury takes this to another draw, win, lose, or otherwise. They book the trilogy fight part 3 against Wilder. And then what happens? If Fury wins, then he goes up against Anthony Joshua. Regardless of win, lose, or draw, actually, worst case scenario, he wins that. And then he fucking retires. And then we have all 4 fucking belts vacated. And we have to do this shit all over again.
I think what he's meaning though by that is he only has 3 more fights with ESPN. And I think
he's already talking retirement.
I don't know about all that, man. I hear it, but like I don't hear it. Like I think he just it's a money thing. It's a money thing, man. It's a money thing. I think he wants to go to DAZN. That just could be my own personal bias. I think he wants to go to DAZN though. DAZN's beautiful. They treat their fighters outstandingly, and like this pay-per-view model bullshit, man. How long is this gonna last? You know what I mean?
You can't keep having this, and this is where UFC, I think, is starting to realize that, you know, even with ESPN putting their money behind it, ESPN's still a business, man. It's still owned by Disney, and they're still looking at, you know, revenue, expenditures versus profit. And if they keep doing these numbers that aren't massive, you know, I'm not saying they need to be Conor McGregor pay-per-view headline massive, but They still need to be pulling in way more than they are. You know, what did Conor McGregor make in his return to the octagon on pay-per-view against Cowboy, which should have been a swan song for Cowboy, and it ended in 40 seconds? He won a couple $1 million. He got a couple million on that payout. Mm-hmm. John Jones went 5 rounds in a much better fight, and you and I can both say that, a much better fight, and he pulled in, not including the revenue, $900,000. Yeah. These are not the same fucking numbers. So something's got to give here.
Yeah. Something's got to give. So that's what I'm saying. I think the future is DAZN. I think like that's why you have somebody like and this is getting way off topic, but that's why somebody like Canelo goes to DAZN. I think he sees the future. He is the future. That's why he does something like that. I think that's why Anthony Joshua's there. I think that's where the future of boxing is, and I think things like that, models like that, is going to be where the future of MMA is. Ryan Sprage, this has been a beautiful podcast, though, huh?
It couldn't be anyone else. It had to be you and I. It had to be White Claws involved, and it had to be
White Claws and whiskey. That's the name of this podcast, huh?
Oh God, I'm just waiting for Eric Kowal of My MMA News to laugh hysterically when he starts to realize I'm drinking White Claws while talking about boxing, and he's going to draw parallels to that from start to finish. So between that and the masturbation comment, Eric's going to lose his shit at some point in this conversation.
I love that kid. Yeah. And what does the song go? It had to be you. Isn't that a song? Isn't that an old school song?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
But yeah, man, shout outs to you, Ryan. Shout outs to My MMA News, Eric Cole. Ryan, thank you so much for coming on and having fun with me here. Everybody, watch this fight this weekend. Ryan, where can they find you and follow you for all things combat sports related?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and just say it right now because I've been trying to, say it for some time, and between work and hours and, trying to schedule interviews and all that, I'll say it here right now. Eric already knows, Mike Heck already knows, you already know, but we'll make it official right now. The 5 years that I was with the SFLC podcast, with Mike Heck, with Steve Dunn, with Mike McAllister, and then Mike Heck graciously turned the show over to me. I think it's time for that to be done, and I think it's time for me to focus predominantly on, the writing aspect of it and making sure that I end up doing everything more, in a writing style, because I'm still a very conversational writer, but I think that I'm a better conversational writer than I am a conversationalist outside of the Eric Kowals, the Mike Hecks, the Blake Stevensons, the Lou Giordanos. I think that all of us have kind of grown accustomed to each other. And while I still enjoy talking to the talking heads of the sport, I think I'm better off doing that from a written perspective than I am from a verbal perspective. Don't get it twisted. You're still going to hear those interviews, the audio, on mymmanews.com, but I can officially say that the 5-year run of the SFLC podcast was great, and I met some great people through it. yourself included, Blake Stevenson.
Thank you.
But it's about time for us to say goodbye to the SFLC podcast and, really enjoy what it was. And, it's better to burn out than fade away.
Yeah, man. Mo, much respect, man. I'm shocked. Like, I knew about it, but I didn't know you were going to announce it here, man. So, for sure, much respect to everything that you and Mike Heck built. The SFLC podcast is one of those podcasts that everybody knew and still knows and still has fond memories of. It really was one of the first podcasts. It wasn't the first podcast I was ever on. I was on James Lynch's first when he had Parting Shot, but it was actually
James Lynch is my boy, man.
James Lynch, shout out to James Lynch. But it was the first podcast that gave me, I think, the platform to be seen by a lot more people, because Zach Otto was on that episode, you were on that episode, Mike Heck, I believe Steve Dunn was on that episode, I can't remember, but it was a UFC, whatever UFC was. Just to kind of rewind real quick, it was whatever UFC Max Holloway and Anthony Pettis fought on, where Cowboy knocked out Matt Brown, where Misha Serkinov fought Nikita Krylov, where Lando Venata.
Oh, that was a fucking world war. God damn, I forgot about that fight.
That was that card. And then where Lando Venata made his debut against John McDessie. It was December of 2016. I forget what that card was, like, named or whatever it was called, but I do remember a lot of the fights on that card because we broke it down. And I was in my garage. I was living with my ex at the time, and I just remember the love that I received after that podcast from a lot of people in the MMA community, because like that was really the time that they got to see me do my thing, and I got a chance on the big stage, damn near. Like SFLC was the big platform, and Loaded Joe's was still kind of up and coming, and I really got my big that was, I think that's what I'm trying to say. That really gave me my big break. And everybody took me a little bit more serious right after I did that. So I have nothing but love for you and Mike Heck and for SFLC Podcast and everything they've done for everybody in the game. And Ryan, I want to say thank you, man. Like, thank you for bringing SFLC to all of us. And yeah, man, there's nothing but respect that I think everybody can give at this point, man. So
I love it, man. Everything that we did, and it doesn't go anywhere. You're not going to hear the SFLC name under it. You're still going to hear the interviews. Yeah. You're still going to hear all the Bellator stuff. You're still going to hear yourself and me, Mike Heck, talking shit. And maybe that'll be a fun one. That's the introduction to just like straight up My MMA News, talking combat sports as you, me, and the originator, Mike Heck, kind of going and picking each other's brains for how this goes moving forward.
I mean, that would be great. I can't wait for all the rest of the interviews that you have, but just nothing but respect for what SFLC has done for the game, man. So Ryan, man, where can people now follow you though on social media, man?
Oh, you can still follow me on my Facebook page. Just find me at Ryan Sprage. I'm the guy that's wearing the fucking goofy ass jackets. You can still find me on Twitter, MMA Pupil 441, and you're gonna find me predominantly MyMMAnews.com. Everything that Eric has done with that website has just been above and beyond. And if there's one of the most underrated, and I don't even want to use the word underrated because I know how popular it is, but one of the most underrated websites that exists for combat sports and MMA news, it's MyMMAnews.com. And that's a huge shout out to Eric Kowal and all of the brilliant talent that he's brought on throughout the years of people that have just, like you and I, we just wanted an outlet. We just wanted a place for our, we didn't want to feel like we were crazy saying these. And we finally found a place where we could make these arguments and we could be heated about these arguments. And finally people want to listen and be like, you know what? This motherfucker has a point.
Yeah, he definitely gives that voice to us. Well, go follow Ryan Sprage, ladies and gentlemen. Before I get into where you can find me, I do want to shout out two I don't know, friends of the show. My boy Jim, my boy Jim, and then I'm going to get to my next buddy. But my boy Jim says, I got his predictions for the fights. I got Fury. He outboxed him the first time. Got caught once and still should have won. He's seen all Wilder's tricks. Don't think he gets caught again. That's my boy Jim. I want to shout out my boy Rick Nuno. We recently had him on the podcast on Unfiltered Bachelor. Go check out that episode. And I've also had him on Loaded Joe's, and I know they've written about him on My MMA News. Rick Nuno, Rick Numero Uno Nuno. He did write this. Hard to go against Wilder, but the confidence Fury carrying right now, legit. He has a good chance to outbox Wilder and get the decision. Just can't get caught with that fight hand. He puts a little bomb emoji, a little fist emoji. I think all of that is correct. You can follow me, Money Blakeweather. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. It's all Money Blakeweather, I promise. You can follow the show on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, The Loaded Joe's MMA Podcast. You can follow the podcast. It's all under the Unfiltered Bachelor umbrella. Type that in. Find the show, The Loaded Joe's MMA show, under that umbrella. We're on iTunes. We're on Stitcher. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We're on Spotify.
Oh, damn.
Oh, damn. Oh, damn. You can type in Loaded Joe's MMA, or you can type in Unfiltered Bachelor. Unfiltered Bachelor is the umbrella network that we're here under. Because, hey, if you're listening, you love MMA, you're probably a bachelor, too, at heart. So God bless you. Ryan Sprage, I want to thank you for coming on, man. It's been another golden classic episode, and we fucking laid it down for the people. Thank you so much for coming on. Everybody, whether it's morning, evening, afternoon, whatever time you're listening to this, thank you so much for making this show great. Tell your friends, click the like, share, write a review. Do anything you can to help this show get bigger. Thank you so much, and until the next time, we'll see ya. Peace.